listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner. Support us at patreon.com/After Movie Diner. Or I'll punch you in the teats. Rate and review us on iTunes, Earthling. And now, here's your host, Jon Cross.
Hello, hello, hello. Yes, I am Jon Cross, and this is a very special NINJAVEMBER episode of the After Movie Diner. Enjoy it, won't you? Hello, and welcome to the After Movie Diner, and it is NINJAVEMBER. Hi-ya! Ninjas. I'm sat here in, of course, the regimental ninja outfit of black pajamas and some sort of face mask thing. My guest this week, my goodness, he is the true original American ninja. He is, quite honestly, who Joe Armstrong was based on in the original American Ninja movie. Only this man is a freedom ninja, and he really needs no introduction, so I'm going to stop giving him one and simply say, you like him spread thick, it's Mr. J. Mayo.
Well, thank you for having me, John. And although it is currently winter, I am currently wearing my summer karate pajamas.
Yes, karate pajamas, the attire of the true free gent. We are going to be discussing 1983's Revenge of the Ninja. Technically the second part in a Sho Kosugi Canon Films ninja trilogy that began with Enter the Ninja, continued with Revenge of the Ninja, and finished up with Ninja 3 The Domination. But it's the only one in which Sho Kosugi stars as a leading character. He wouldn't get his own full leading roles with Canon outside of this film. He would instead go over to a different company where he made Pray for Death, 9 Deaths of a Ninja, and Rage of Honor. But this is directed by recent guest of the After Movie Diner and Booth Talk, Sam Furstenberg, who also directed The American Ninja. And as I said, made in 1983. Jay, as you are sat squarely in the guest seat, do you want to kind of go through the plot for everybody?
Sure. Okay, so the movie starts off with some people. It starts off with what appears to be a family, and then all of a sudden ninjas show up out of nowhere and just start killing people.
Yeah.
So then, again, out of nowhere, as the last few people are being killed, an Asian man and a white man show up and start fighting off ninjas. So only to find out that the only two people that are left are what appears to be a baby and an old lady. The rest of the family's killed off, at which point the white guy says, hey, very few Asian people that are left. How about you all just come to America? Because it'll be safer for you there. There's no ninjas there. So cut to 6 years later, obviously, when you find out that no one likes Asian people in America because they start beating up children. The kid who is now 6 years old, even though he looks like he's 10, he's 6 years old, and he's getting beat up at school. And starts literally taking on, 5 or 6 kids at a time, starts karateing all of them.
Played by Sho Kosugi's real son, Kane Kosugi. Yes.
Yeah, and strangely enough, his name is Kane in the movie. I wonder why they did that. Now little Kane starts, the 10-year-old, 6-year-old starts fighting motherfuckers 5 at a time at school.
Yep.
You find out that they moved to the United States to help out the white guy open up an Asian-themed store. They're going to sell Japanese imports, namely these little figurines, like little dolls.
Yeah, it's an art gallery, right?
Yeah, it's like an art gallery, and you can purchase these little Japanese dolls. And on the side, apparently, he's either training other people or perhaps just training himself and his son, the art of the ninja. And so fast forward to you find out that something strange is afoot. And that it turns out that the white guy, his business partner, has been importing heroin through all of these little dolls.
His business partner, the comedy mafioso.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
he's going to be importing heroin from Japan through these dolls to sell to the mafia, and shit breaks bad between the mafia and the white guy, and all the while, the Sho Kosugi has no idea that he's essentially mixed up with drug trafficking, and once he figures out through a series of events, he figures out that the white guy's bad, and that there's now ninjas here in the United States, and the white guy is a ninja, which they don't explain in the beginning. They sort of gloss over it a little bit in the middle, where they're like, "Oh yeah, he lived in Japan for 20 years, so obviously he's a ninja."
Yeah, obviously. That's how that works, Jay.
Yeah. And of course, he wears a mask the whole time so that you can't tell that it's not him. And he goes on to kill almost everybody in the mafia, or that is affiliated with this mafia boss guy, all the while taking Kane hostage, as well as his girlfriend, who is sort of like the buffer between this importer-exporter guy and Sho Kosugi's character. So she's sort of bad, but sort of not bad. I don't know. It's kind of hard to define her character as well.
She likes to do karate with no underwear on, is what she likes to do.
And it seemed like she liked to do karate with no underwear with a few different people. So that was a little confusing as well.
Yeah.
So cut to he's killing everybody. Sho Kosugi puts two and two together, realizes after his son is kidnapped that, hey, he's going to break the seal on his proverbial sword, proverbial and literal sword. And he's gonna start ninjaing motherfuckers himself, to which he does. He goes and tracks down, with the help of his white cop buddy.
Who's also kind of half a ninja.
Yeah, he's sort of half ninja. But also, they never explained his background and why he kind of knows ninja stuff, but also is kind of terrible at it.
Yeah.
There is one scene where they just start fist fighting, ninja fighting what appears to just be random gang members or like drug informants.
The village people.
Like the literal village people of like drug informants or whatever.
Yeah. I feel like if you were going to have a slightly effeminate gang in the 80s, this is probably who you would have, but they wouldn't be the main members of the gang. They would be just like the kind of people you send off to get sandwiches or whatever, while the other real gang are doing gang stuff. That's kind of what I thought.
It sort of reminded me of Death Wish 2, like the gang that was going around and raping people, which is a terrible thing now. Well, I guess it would have been a terrible thing as well.
It's always a terrible thing, Jay. It's always a terrible thing. We condemn it here on the After Movie Done.
For some reason in the Death Wish movies, we're like, yeah, these guys just go around and rape people, and we were all okay with that. But anyway,
Charles Bronson isn't. Charles Bronson is not okay with it.
I meant as a movie-going society, we're like, yeah, I buy into this. This is okay.
Oh, right. No, as a movie-going society, we buy into the Reagan-era panic of everyone is out to either kill you, rob you, or rape you. Yes.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, so the village people, bad guys in this movie, reminded me a lot of Death Wish 2's gang.
Yes.
And you're like, how did these people? Why would any of these people be around each other? Like
they would.
This is a literal ragtag group of like the weirdest weirdos ever put together. But anyway,
one of them looks like a Mexican biker from Dusk Till Dawn. One of them looks like just your generic black cop guy who might be in the police academy, sort of just dude sat around in kind of sweatpants or whatever. One of them, for no reason whatsoever, is a flouncy cowboy wearing a powder blue onesie with a cowboy hat, who has an obviously stick-on mustache because halfway through the fight, half of his mustache isn't there anymore.
Yeah, he came off the set of a gay porn from the 70s, for sure.
Hands down. And then I forget who the fourth one was, but just like a generic punk kind of guy.
Yeah.
Just generic white punk dude. And none of that scene makes any sense at all. As I was saying to a friend of mine after I finished watching this film earlier today, and I've seen this film before, but it's about an hour 24 minutes. About an hour and 15 minutes of that is fighting an action sequence, and they seemingly find a way to have an action sequence at damn near every 3 minutes. They don't even wait for 10 minutes.
That's true. Yeah,
you've got to believe that Golan and Globus, who are famous from Cannon films, I don't think they had the patience for 10 minutes of dialogue. They were like, let's have 3 minutes of plot and then 10 minutes of action. That's what we want.
Well, when there is little to no plot, what are you going to write for dialogue?
Right. Well, no, but not only that, but the plot. What's amazing about this is that the plot is so convoluted and fucking bonkers. Like, none of it makes any sense, right? Because the indication is, right, that the white guy had all the ninjas kill Sho Kosugi's family in Japan, so that Sho Kosugi had to come to America to set up the Japanese thing in order kind of for the flow of heroin to start happening, because apparently the only way to smuggle heroin in the 80s is if you have small Japanese dolls that I can't imagine hold much more than like a fucking eighth or whatever of heroin. They're so small. And the only way to do that is because the demand for little Asian dolls in Los Angeles in 1983 was so high that the turnover would be enough for a major two gang, on one hand the white guy ninja gang, and on the other hand the mafia gang, that both those gangs would have enough influx of heroin through these little Japanese, like, all this is crazy. Not only that, but he brings Grandma Ninja and Baby Ninja with him, which is only like more problems.
Right.
And not only that, but this white guy is a ninja and lived in Japan for 25 years. So, like, why can't he just why can't he just go back to LA, go, I'm setting up a shop that sells Asian stuff because I lived in Japan for 20 years, and that's it. Like, there's no reason.
Well, there was no reason to kill his family and then have him be the importer of the heroin. He could have said, like, hey, anybody in Koreatown, pretend that you're Japanese and work at my store so that people think an Asian person is running it.
Right.
And that'll be the front. Like, there was no reason for them to have killed most of the guy's family.
Not only that, but he's in business with the mafia, even though the mafia is like screwing him over. They're not giving him the money. When they do give him the money, it's not enough. Like, he has a real problem. So he starts to kill off the mafia. And you kind of think to yourself, like, you've been a ninja all along. Why didn't you just either A, not work with the mafia, or B, just kill off the mafia? Like, why? Why did it have to be this whole thing? But it is the whole thing. And obviously the big impetus is that in the opening scene, when all the ninjas attack the dojo, killing Sho Kosugi's friends and family, Sho dispatches all of those ninjas, and then he ties up his sword, saying he will never be a ninja again. And of course, the big thing in this movie is in the last 20 minutes of the film, he must break that seal in order to become a ninja. Outside of that, everything else that happens is mad.
Just when they thought I was out, they bring me back in.
Right.
The son of a bitch. So I think here's a great overview of what you can compare this movie to. It's a shitty video game from the 80s, right? So you have the ridiculous opening scene where you're like, well, I guess I have to fight all these guys, like there's someone did something bad to me, so now I have to fight individually all these guys that just keep coming in. And then you realize at the end, it's the one bad guy at the very end. And you're like, all right, well, as long as I defeat the one bad guy, I beat the game. And that's really what it is. If you want to compare this to any of the Nintendo or Atari games where you go from left to right and you just keep beating a series of guys and you get to the next level until you get to the boss at the end. And if you beat the boss, okay, you win the game. So I think that's really what this is. It's basically they're like, yeah, I don't know, that seems to work, so let's just go with that, Yeah,
my favorite thing about this film is the least amount of police involved in any of it. So in other words, in Japan, at the beginning of the movie, there was an outright massacre. And one of the things that we should point out about Revenge of the Ninja versus some of the other ninja movies that are made in the 80s at the boom of the ninja is that this is probably the goriest one. I mean, unless you're looking at ones from actual Japan or China, where they did make obviously far gorier action films. For an American movie, this is probably the goriest of all the kind of canon ninja films, because even if they get so much as nicked by a ninja star or stabbed slightly by a small knife or something, people are bleeding profusely. When Sho Kosugi goes through the window of the little camper van that all the bad guys are riding in, he gets blood on his shirt and stuff like that. At the end, when he stabs the bad ninja, you get the Hong Kong style blood spray come out of him. Like, it's a gory film, so which I love. It's fantastic. But it's not usual. In a lot of these films, people get stabbed or shot or thrown off things or whatever, and there's no blood whatsoever. And so what I love about the opening is there's an outright massacre. So a bunch of ninjas show up. And ninjas, by the way, wearing like the black ninja suits with the red headbands, even though it's broad fucking daylight and none of that. And they're not stealthy at all. Like, in any of these movies, ninjas are not stealthy. They're just, oh, look, there's a band of ninjas. Like, it's...
Yeah.
They just show up. You're just like, oh, I guess there's ninjas then. Even though the whole point of ninja is that they're meant to be like the guys in the shadows. But they show up.
Ninjas in movies don't mean stealth. They mean like their faces are covered and they're good at karate. Yes. It has nothing to do with sneaking around at night and being an assassin. It has everything to do with, we know how to do martial arts and you can't see our faces.
Right. And we have an endless supply of inventive, weird weaponry. We'll get on to the ending fight soon, but there's a period in the ending fight where you're like, there's no way he concealed all of this in his pajamas. But at the beginning, there's this massacre, right? So the ninjas show up, they massacre like 20 people in this dojo, and then Sho Kosugi and his white fella show up and they kill a whole bunch of ninjas, right? So it's just bodies lying everywhere. Grandma Ninja comes back from the grocery shop. She's like, oh my God, look at all the dead people. And all the white guy goes is like, just come to America with me. Like, forget about it. As if no one's going to do, like, as if Japan is some lawless society where no one's going to do an investigation or care that 30 people are dead or anything. It's just, come to America. It's fine. And America's just like, sure, you're a Japanese ninja. Come right in. Like, what?
He said, come to America, like, because ninjas, because that happens every day.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, you should come to America because, ninjas. And he's like, yep, you're right. Okay.
No, I didn't want to come. I wanted to stay here. But no, now you've pointed out the whole ninja thing. And there seems to be a thing whereby Sho's mom, the ninja grandma, had trained him in the way of the ninja. And he somewhat resents it a little bit. Like, he's a little bit like, I don't want to be a ninja. And she keeps being like, no, be a ninja.
Yeah, I'm getting too old for this shit. And she's like, no, man, you're the best. You gotta go out there and represent the family. And he's like, I don't know. Yeah,
everyone wants a piece of Sho Kosugi, from his own grandma to the white guy to the bottomless, pantless lady ninja. And that leads to the best... The best sequence is when she's like, I would like to work out, meaning I would like to have sex. And he's like, but you've forgotten your pants. and as if it wasn't abundantly obvious that she wasn't wearing pants, he says it in this nonplussed way, like, but you've forgotten your pants. And she's like, I don't care. I don't need pants. Who needs pants? And then she's desperate to do makey time with old Sho Kosugi, but he's having none of it. And yeah, I don't really know what her role is because, like I say, she seems to be white guy's girlfriend who's maybe trying to, like, I don't know, infiltrate Sho Kosugi, but like Sho Kosugi's already working for the white guy. Like, there's no reason to like use or infiltrate or learn. And like Sho Kosugi thinks the white guy's his friend. So like there's nothing to be found out about like Sho Kosugi. But she's like, I guess I'll seduce him or something. Like, it's a really, do you know what I mean by that, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I can think of is maybe she just wanted him. Maybe she was just way into him. She's like, I don't know, the guy can do some cool ninja shit. And I have to assume that she doesn't know, because she almost made it seem like she didn't know that the white guy was also a secret ninja.
Right.
So maybe she was just way into Sho Kosugi's character. Maybe she's just like, I don't know, this guy's got a cool dojo. Yeah. He sets up a nice art gallery, and I don't know, I want him.
Yeah, I like also how the art gallery is called something like Cho's Oriental Gallery, because I'm sure that a guy from Asia would definitely be like, sure, put the word Oriental in my banner sign. I would love that. That would make me feel really great in at home. Yeah. But no, so that's all completely bananas. But then later on in the film, is it that the white guy has like a big sumo bodyguard who tries to attack her? Like, is that just a thing? Like, they're just like, whoa, I want a piece of the boss's missus or whatever. Is that just what happens?
I think they had to figure out a way to keep Kane and the lady, like, you know, in the story, but they also had to be not a part of what everybody else was doing.
Right.
So they're like, I don't know, we'll just create this henchman character that'll hold them hostage until we get done.
Yeah. But what's amazing is he just walks in on the henchman, like, trying to strip his missus, and he just strangles him with piano wire. But what's hilarious, they're in a bedroom, and the henchman is clearly looking at him. Like, the ninja guy walks into the room in full ninja with the mask and everything, but then is surprised when he's strangled with piano wire. Like, that was kind of confusing to me as well.
Well, I mean, this whole movie was confusing, let's be honest.
It was kind of confusing. But I have to say this, in terms of... So Sho Kosugi is interesting because obviously everyone knows him as like the man who brought ninjas to America, along with Sam Furstenberg, the director, and Cannon Films, the producers. Everyone knows him as like the 80s ninja. And he was legitimately in real life a martial artist. And he came with his own group of martial artists and stunt performers and various people who helped choreograph the fight and so on and so forth. But unlike most other people who have either broken American films or have come over to Hong Kong or come over from Hong Kong or Japan already a star in order to just make films in America, like there is no Sho Kosugi before the 80s, really, like doing like weird martial arts movies in Asia. And there's no real Sho Kosugi like after the 80s and 90s finish. Like he's this interesting thing that just kind of exists and then disappears again. And also, he's fascinating because he does, there's nothing cool about Sho Kosugi. Like, he's almost the antithesis of... He wears, like, pressed pants and, you know, V-neck sweaters, and he looks like an accountant. He has this, like, mid-80s Beatlesque kind of haircut. He wears very kind of, like, beige, dowdy clothes. He looks like the kind of guy who would be, like, running an accountancy firm or something. He's not, like, you know, wearing a bright yellow jumpsuit like Bruce Lee or something. He's not... you know, he's not like Jackie Chan doing, you know, mad, insane stunts or whatever, although there's a little bit of that in this, but not really. You know, he doesn't have a hook other than I'm Sho Kosugi and I am a ninja. Like, he just showed up in America and he's like, I'm the ninja guy. And Cannon Films was like, good enough for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And listen, I love Sho Kosugi. This is not to any detriment of Sho Kosugi. I just find him an interesting anomaly in movie history because, you know, he's not the steely-eyed badass of Jet Li. He's not, you know, the original like Bruce Lee was. He's not the crazy acrobatics of Jackie Chan. You know, his martial arts are fine, but they don't really extend much beyond like throwing ninja stars and doing kicks and stuff. You know, he's not, I don't know, like I could go through a long list of sort of different, you know, he's not, he doesn't have the history of a lot of the Asian action stars like Yen Bio or Sammo Hung or someone like, you know, he's not, like, he's just an anomaly unto himself, but it weirdly works in this movie, I guess. This is probably, this and Rage of Honor are his two best movies in terms of action and stunts. Yeah, it's just very odd because there's nothing really to identify Sho Kosugi, or like, he's not a badass, but he is a badass. You know what I mean? He's not cool, but he kind of is Sho Kosugi. Like, he kind of had just a way of being himself, I guess, which is awesome, but it's also not typical for all the other kind of Asian martial artists we see in movies.
Sure. Maybe his appeal is that he was making specific ninja movies, as opposed to either a kung fu movie or just a martial arts movie in general.
Right.
You know, I don't know the history of ninja movies per se, in the film world, but I can only imagine that specifically in the early 80s, there probably wasn't a ton prior to that, if any, major ninja movies.
Enter the Ninja was literally the first one that broke the American market, and Enter the Ninja was made by Canon, and Sho Kosugi shows up, like, in the end to be an actual ninja, because the rest of the time it's a heavily mustachioed Franco Nero. I guess the Italian ninja, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
his appeal is that he's the ninja guy, right?
Yes.
So prior to that, there was no ninja guy. Specifically in American cinema history, I'm sure there's no big ninja guy star.
Nope.
So his appeal is he doesn't have to be cool. He doesn't have to be flashy. He doesn't have to do 3 backflips in a row off of a building. He's the ninja guy. No one else is doing that.
No one else. That's what I mean. I think he came to America and was like, I'm a ninja. And everyone was like, what's a ninja? He's like, don't worry about it. I'm the ninja. If you're making a movie with ninjas in it for the next decade, I'll be in it, even if I'm just in the background.
You know what? This is probably how people felt when rock and roll first started. They're like, I don't fucking get it. And nowadays, like, kids now are probably like, fucking Elvis and the Beatles and whatever. Like, why do you guys like this garbage? And we're like, no, you don't get it. At the time, this was the shit.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the same. If you showed someone who'd grown up on a diet of, I don't know, the Matrix movies, or even modern action films, or even, even if they watch like Hong Kong films now or whatever, but like if they watch a steady diet of that, and then you put Revenge of the Ninja on, they'd be like, Dad, why the fuck are we watching this old man bastard movie? Like, this doesn't make any sense. The guy literally has pleated pants. Why are we watching this film?
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the whole plot sucks, right? the cinematography sucks. You can tell none of these people are actually getting hurt. The characters don't make sense. They're only fighting weirdo bad guys. Like, none of it makes sense as compared to today's cinema. Like, if you watch John Wick, John Wick, yes, he's fighting the no-name bad guy in a suit. He's shooting everybody. But also, it's not 100% action the whole time. And it's also, there's dialogue, not much because, it's Keanu Reeves. But, there's some dialogue from the other characters. And there's
world building. There's world building. There's characters. There's a through line. You know why stuff's happening. But,
right. So there's three John Wicks. And there's 3 of these Sho Kosugi ninja movies.
6 of them, technically.
Well, 6 of them, right. But the John Wick movies were intended to have sequels. These ninja movies, they're just like, I don't know, it's sold. All right, fuck it, let's make another one.
Yeah, no, completely. There's no carryover. He's not the same character in Enter the Ninja that he is in Revenge of the Ninja, and he's not the same character in Ninja 3: The Domination that he is in Revenge of the Ninja. But they are considered, like, Ninja 3 is literally called Ninja 3, even though there isn't a Ninja 1 or 2.
Right. Am I the only one that's disappointed that it's not called Ninja?
Right. Now, there is a Ninja Death 1, 2, and 3, and Scott Adkins at the turn of the millennium made Ninja and Ninja 2 Shadow of a Tear. So there are now 2 films that are called Ninja and Ninja 2. So technically there is now a Ninja 1, Ninja 2, and a Ninja 3, but when Ninja 3: The Domination was made, there weren't 1 and 2, but there was Enter the Ninja and Revenge of the Ninja, and Canon Films were just like, well, everyone knows Canon, and everyone knows that we did these first 2 Ninja films, so now we're just going to do Ninja 3, and we're just going to call it Ninja 3: The Domination, even though that really doesn't make any fucking sense, because it's about it's about an aerobics instructor who gets possessed by the ghost of a dead ninja. And that's actually what it's about. It stars Lucinda Dickey of Breakin' and Breaking 2 fame, And why not?
How pants free is that movie? That's all I want to know.
Well, Lucinda never goes fully pants free, but there's some aerobics, crotch grabbing lycra. Let's just say that.
That's all I needed to hear. I'm in.
It's basically like Jamie Lee Curtis's Perfect meets The Exorcist meets Revenge of the Ninja. That's what Ninja 3: The Domination is like. Put those three films together and you have a film.
Okay. Jamie Lee Curtis, I'm back out. But you know what? The aerobics, I'm back in. All right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Revenge of the Ninja, it's not a second part. It doesn't follow on from anything other than there are ninjas and Sho Kosugi is in it. So he is the one. He's also credited amazingly at the end of the film. His character is called Sho Osaki, which is amazing because his real name is Sho Kosugi. So, considering his son is called Kane in the movie, they might as well have just called him Sho Kosugi. It might as well have just been Sho Kosugi came to America and he fought a bunch of ninjas. They might as well have been the movie. But he is credited at the end of the movie as Sho Kosugi Black Ninja, which is incredible because he's not black. He's Asian.
That's true. That's highly racist.
Yeah. It also assumes that there are other colors of ninjas than black cloaked ninjas, and there are, but not till American Ninja, which comes out the next year with Michael Dudikoff in it, where in the middle of the movie there is literally a training school for ninjas where there are like green ninjas, orange ninjas, black ninjas, red ninjas, blue ninjas. Like there's every color of ninja. In case you're fighting someone in a marmalade warehouse and you need an orange ninja, they have those now. But when this was made, everyone was a black ninja. Like everyone just wore black because that's what ninjas wore.
Well, maybe they called him Black Ninja because his nemesis was a white guy. So you needed to differentiate between the two. I mean, obviously the white guy was wearing a mask the whole time,
right?
Like a
metal face ninja.
Whatever. Yeah. Like a metal faced mask, like a dragon mask or whatever you want to call it. So that was the differentiation between the two. But I mean, I suppose if there's going to be a white ninja, there has to be a black ninja, right? That's the way your nemesis works, your opposites.
Right. No, I get that. No, I understand that. Also, what I love about this movie is, like we were saying, he comes over from Japan, and everyone who does obvious martial arts in the film has to have a backstory about Sho Kosugi is Japanese, so obviously he's a ninja. Grandma, she's obviously a ninja. She's ninja grandma. The guy lived in Japan for 25 years, so obviously he's also a ninja. But then, everyone they meet does martial arts. Like everyone they meet.
Right. That his buddy, the cop, who has nothing to do with the cops that are investigating the mafia guy.
Right. And no
just
one's really
random cop. They're like, I don't know, he's just in a gym right now kicking people's ass karate style.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, cool. Hey man, are you a ninja? And he's like, no, I just know a lot about it. And they're like, all right, well, you're our new ninja expert.
You're ninja cop.
Yeah. Ninja cop that's not an actual ninja, but somehow gets involved and befriends an actual ninja who refuses to admit that he's a ninja, but also knows everything there is to know about ninjas. And then also at the end, you guys will fight crime together.
Yeah, oh no, you'll definitely fight crime together. And what I love is when the police guy's like, we can't pay you very much, but will you fight ninjas for us? Because that's the thing that the police go, we're not going to investigate all these deaths, I don't know, dust for prints, figure out who it is, even though we all know who it is. What we're just going to do is ask a random Japanese art gallery owner if he will go be a ninja cop with his newfound friend, Ninja Cop.
They made it seem like in this world, he's the only Japanese guy ever
that's ever existed. Yes.
Right. He came from Japan. He now lives in the United States, and he's the only one. So we're just going to go to him. Obviously, right. He knows everything there is to know about Asian culture, Asian art history, and martial arts. Clearly, he knows everything because he's the Asian guy.
Not even that. He's the ninja. And everyone just knows ninjas at this point. But then it's also hilarious because the guys that rob the store, the guys in the little brown minivan, camper van thing, that they drive. Those guys all know martial arts. And one of those guys, for no reason whatsoever, is dressed up like a Native American, even though he's not a Native American.
That is so. The white guy ninja with the mask is like, all right, go to the store, my store, and break in and steal all the heroin from us because I own it. So go to the store, but also keep in mind that Sho Kosugi is going to be there. So, do whatever you got to do to him. And I'm talking to you, Native American guy. And but of course he didn't say Native American guy. He's just like, hey, you Indian. Like, he didn't even have a name. He was just like, Indian, take care of it. And the guy's like, you got it, boss.
But what doesn't make any sense is he was with that gang when he should have been with the Village People gang.
That's what I was just going to say. Obviously, they were like, okay, so what do we need in this movie? What's popular right now? Well, disco just ended and the Village People were pretty big. Let's put them in this movie. But we can't have too many of them in one gang. All right, we'll split them up. We'll send the Indian over to work for the white guy.
Yeah.
And then we'll make the rest of the Village People drug informants. Yeah. Perfect.
That was so weird. I did not understand that. Like, suddenly there's just a big, tall white guy wearing a Native American, wig and carrying 2 tomahawks. Because reasons. Because
Village People.
Right. And then, you know what? And then later they go and there's a dude in a powder blue cowboy outfit with an outrageously effeminate mustache.
Yeah, there was a biker guy. Yeah, there was all kinds of, the Village People, there was a construction guy. Yes. One of two things happened. Either, I looked up the IMDb page after watching the movie. What I didn't subsequently do is click on any of the gang members to see if they were actual members of the Village People. So either those were the actual Village People, or someone at Canon must have said, well, that's popular right now, so let's try to do something like that. Like, when we're coming up with bad guys, I don't know, fuck it, let's just make it the Village People.
Yeah. I mean, just amazing. And although it was meant to be Los Angeles, it was filmed in Salt Lake City. So maybe that accounts for the fact that there's no other Asian people.
That's true. That might even still be true.
That might be. It might just be like, we have a bunch of Mormons and this guy who likes to dress up as a Native American guy. Why? We don't ask him. Just let him.
Right. I don't know if he's weird. Don't even go near him. I don't think he speaks English at all. Yeah. So just, probably avoid him. I would do that.
But that's probably the most Jackie Chan-esque sequence is the car chase when he's running along other cars. He jumps on top of the camper van. He jumps through the window.
He hangs off the back of it while it's driving away. Yeah.
That's kind of the most Jackie Chan-esque sequence, I guess. And it also there was a definite, when I spoke to Sam about this, there was a definite attempt. They were and this kind of blows my mind, because if you go back 10 years to 1973, Hong Kong action films were all the jam, right? So 42nd Street, people would go flock to watch proper Hong Kong Asian action flicks. But by the early 80s, the conventional wisdom, and we all know how generally wise conventional wisdom is, in other words, not at all, but the conventional wisdom is no one wants to watch anything with Asians in it. So if we're going to have an Asian in the lead of our film as an action star, the action needs to be predominantly American style action. So yeah, you can have the martial arts or whatever, but don't put too much of the Japanese stuff in it. Just make it an American action film, which is why in this movie there's running, leaping, punching, shooting, jumping on the backs of cars, things like that, because it was considered more American style. Even if it has martial arts in the center of it, it's still more Americanized action than a full-blown.
You've got to make it palatable for white people. If it was just Asian people the whole time just doing martial arts, it wouldn't have worked in America. You know what I mean?
That's what we say, yeah.
Middle America,
I don't agree with that, but yeah.
Well, yes, now, in 2019, for people that have brains that actually function and think about other people, yes, that makes sense. But in the early 80s, in Middle America, white people, that's not for them. right?
Right.
An all Asian cast doing Asian shit isn't for middle America white people in the early 80s. They needed to
Or
essentially
now, or ever.
Well, maybe. They needed to whiten it up a little bit, right? So the bad guy is a white guy. There's a mafia boss. All the cops are white. They're in the United States, and this foreigner from the Far East comes in and has no idea that all the white people are doing all this stuff behind his back. And yes, there is martial arts, but also, there's the village people, and there's everybody's shooting, right? All the mafia guys have guns. All the cops have guns. They're all quote unquote regular people. So I think that just made it more palatable for middle America white people to understand what was going on and actually want to watch this movie.
So apparently, and you'll love this bit of trivia, but apparently Menachem Golan, one of the two producers of the film from Cannon Films, regarded the film to be a complete mess. And during a meeting, apparently it was Golan who came up with the film's opening sequence because he felt it added more depth to the story and not just like completely confusing Massacre from Ninjas.
So that's interesting to me, because if that opening sequence where the ninjas came and wiped everybody out, if that didn't happen, how the fuck else would you explain how this guy and his son and his mother just end up in Los Angeles for no reason, just running an art gallery?
I don't know. I mean, again, that's an IMDb piece of trivia. I take it with a pinch of salt. But potentially maybe it was... Maybe they started the film with Sho and the white guy running an Asian art gallery, and then Sho finds out he's smuggling drugs through it. Like maybe that's how that was. And
then in the middle of the movie, we find out that he's a ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that works either.
It's the most inexplicable thing probably is the final fight between Sho, regular ninja, black ninja Kosugi, and white guy ninja in Metal Face. What's amazing about the final fight is that the Metal Face ninja appears to have, considering he's just a dude in some pajamas, appears to have an entire life-size replica of himself in those pajamas that he's able to place right behind Sho Kosugi, who chops it in half, only to find out that it's a fake replica, even though he didn't have that when he first ran up on the rooftop. So did he just leave it on the rooftop in the hopes that one day he would have a rooftop ninja fight, or did he have it secreted about his person, or did he whittle it right there and then and have some spare pajamas somewhere in order to... But not only that, it has a whole secondary mask because it's wearing his mask. So yeah, I'm completely confused by the the super ninja power of having an entire fake version of yourself secreted in your pajamas.
It happened twice, Joe.
It happened
once,
yes.
Where it cuts him in half, and then where his arm comes out of like the pool or whatever, and it cuts the arm off, only to find out that's not him either.
No.
So where the fuck did he come up with all this stuff?
He literally has multiple fake body parts secreted about his black ninja outfit,
including but not limited to an entire other life-sized ninja of himself. More so than that. What's more amazing than that is how both of them got into the office building.
Yes.
The masked ninja set up, he shot, what was it, like an arrow from one building to the next, and then set up a zip line and then crashed through a window, completely undetected, like you do in the middle of the daytime, you know, like when you set up a zip line and then crash through a window.
As a ninja.
And then Sho Kosugi has... what I can only describe as homemade Wolverine claws on the palms of his hands made out of rusty nails, and scales the outside of the fucking building.
Yep. And not only that, but
in the middle of the daytime where no one can see him,
Sho Kosugi is able to spit ninja stars at someone's face and embed 1,000,000 ninja stars in someone's face with his mouth.
Yeah,
that's the
which
thing
he had in his mouth the whole time. Right.
Well, and apparently many of the weapons used in this were whittled by Sho Kosugi himself. So he was a master weapon maker. But let's not forget, Metal Face Ninja in the final fight also has a flamethrower secreted up his sleeve.
Obviously.
Yes.
I mean, if you're going to have a full life-size dummy of yourself, spare body parts, an endless amount of throwing stars, and small knives, large knives. There's a lot of chains, like stuff on a chain,
Right?
Like a knife on a chain or like a spear on a chain. There's a lot of chains. He just had both of them had an endless amount of things. What I found fascinating was, like, they would knock the sword out of each other's hand and then do a backflip and then go over here. Now they're on a different part of the roof, and all of a sudden they have like 3 more weapons. Where the fuck did that come from? You didn't have that 2 seconds ago.
No.
So most of the shots were either at like eye level or like an upshot. So maybe we just couldn't see the roof itself. Maybe there was just weapons littered all across the roof, and they were just bending over and picking up a handful of them at a time. They're like, haha, now I've got 3 more swords. And this thing on a chain. Where the fuck did all this stuff come from? I guess that's what ninjas do. They can just conceal everything.
Yeah, that's one of the magic of ninjas, Jay.
Daytime ninjas at that.
Daytime ninjas. Yeah, no, at no point do any ninja in any 80s film appear at nighttime. All ninjas have to be in broad daylight, dressed entirely from head to toe in ridiculous ninja outfits, and literally are able to kill multiple people without ever being investigated, not even once.
No consequence whatsoever.
No consequence whatsoever. In fact, the police...
Cops get killed, right?
Yeah.
Cops get killed, and then, whatever, no big deal. So the cops knew where these mafia guys were, and then they knew that there was people being killed in the building, and there was dead bodies all over the building, including the front entrance, bodies everywhere from the ninja, obviously. And again, no other cops show up.
No.
None. Zero. Just the ninja cop. That was it.
In fact, he says to Ninja Cop is like, let's bring the whole police force down there. And he says, no, it just has to be me. Right. And the guy's like, all right, then, fine.
All right. Yep. No, that seems about right. No, you got it. Oh, a massive office building full of mafia guys and a ninja guy that's killing everybody? Yeah, no, you got it. Go ahead.
Got it. Just go do it. In fact, the police force offered to pay him a stipend to potentially do it. Not a full salary, but they do. He says, we can't pay you much, which indicates to me that they will pay him something.
Well, I'll give you $11. He's like, no, I can't. Come on, man. I can't take your money.
Listen, we will hire you as a consultant ninja, which means you won't be fully on the books, but we will give you a reasonable stipend that will get you through the week, and keep you in pajamas and pleated pants. How does that sound?
Well, rice doesn't cost much. We'll give you a couple of bucks.
But listen. We're making a lot of jokes about it, but you enjoyed the movie, right? It's a good movie. It's a fun movie, right?
You know what? Canon films generally fall very similar to trauma movies, right? In the grand scheme of how the movies are produced and the budget and the ridiculous characters and all that kind of stuff. Everybody knows I'm a trauma guy, and I love pretty much everything that they do. So Canon kind of falls... with a lot of their movies, they fall right in line with that style. So, yes, I did like this movie for a lot of reasons. I wouldn't say I loved it for the cinematography or, any of the action sequences in particular. I liked it, and I hate liking things for irony's sake. But there's a scene where the lady beats the shit out of the little boy, and it was just so fucking ridiculous. There was a fight scene between a 6-year-old boy and a 30-year-old woman, and she kicks his ass.
No, he kicks her ass and almost stabs her.
Sort of, but at the end she just grabs him and runs off.
He comes very close to almost killing a fully grown woman. Like, he comes very close to stabbing her with a big knife. He's the one who goes, I don't know if at 6 I can really kill a man, or a human. You know what I mean?
She hits him so hard, like 3 or 4 times. She hit him with a stick.
Yeah.
She whacks a 6-year-old with a stick.
But what you have to understand, Jay, is that with the power of the ninja, he is able to withstand such a beating, and if not, potentially triumph. Also, let's not point out the fact that the opening sequence features the death of a child, like a full-blown ninja star to the face of a young boy. Like that's in this film before you even get going, which you would never have today. And again,
no.
Also, how about the one-eyed hobo guy getting a ninja star into the brain via the eye and falling over in slow motion into the fountain? That was one of my favorite sequences. I didn't even know who he was, why he was homeless, why he had one eye, and why he needed to be bumped off. But it was quite the sequence. Nonetheless.
They needed to explain that that's how ninja stars worked. So they're like, fuck it, let's whip one of these into the guy's eye, and then you can have Sho Kosugi explain, the reason that the star is that long is so that it'll fit through your eye cavity and into your brain.
But I don't. Your comments are obviously your opinion, so I don't. And I can make jokes about this film, of course I can, because it is ridiculous. But I genuinely love the movie. I think when I go into a movie like this, an 80s ninja movie, so many of them are fairly boring, with only a smattering of ludicrous ninja action. And I always want it reversed. I want it 90 minutes of ludicrous ninja action and give me 1 minute of explanation as to why he's a ninja. And what I liked about this movie is on an action front, at least. And yes, okay, it's 1983. It's we don't really know what we're doing here type action, but it gives it its best shot. It kind of throws all the shit at the wall and sees what sticks. And Sho does his best running around Salt Lake City and kicking people and throwing members of the village people down a jungle gym slide and beating up metal-faced ninja on the rooftop and whatever. I appreciate all the gore, which I like, and just in general, no, you're right. The plot does not hang together at all. Most of it is full of gaping holes, and I think that the idea of Sho introducing his son that early on doesn't quite work, although it is impressive to see him do the moves he does at the age of 6. But I think it's a fun film, and I don't even mean to laugh at. I mean to kind of be bold along with. It kind of doesn't slow down. If you get bored even for a second, there's a fight with a white guy doing red face in a Native American costume just around the corner. It's Revenge of the Ninja. There are plenty of ninjas in it. There is ninja weaponry in it. And it kind of does what it says on the tin in the most glorious way possible. And even in canon films, I mean, especially when you start to watch some of the Chuck Norris ones, and even some of the later American Ninja ones, and even some of the Charles Bronson ones, although they're slightly better. When you start watching them, they don't have the fun and energy of these earlier ones. These earlier ones, when they first started in the beginning of the 80s, they really at least had energy. They didn't allow it to kind of slow down for too long. And I having watched a bunch of boring action films, I appreciate when I see one that at least is trying really hard to be as energetic and mad as possible.
I'll certainly agree that it really doesn't slow down throughout the film. What I would have preferred is if they had slowed down just a hair and spent a little more time on the plot and the dialogue. I think that would have really made it. You wouldn't just like it for the ridiculous nature. You wouldn't just like it for all the action sequence. You would have liked it as a complete story and as a complete movie. So where it falls short, they pick back up with action in the martial arts shots where you literally, if you wait 2 minutes, there's another fight. It reminds you of a bad porno where you're like, I don't really like this scene. Don't worry, there's no plot. They're just going to get to the next group of people fucking.
Yeah, there's going to be more fucking.
Yeah, there's plenty of fucking. It's a porno movie, right? Like that's kind of what this equates to, is like, all right, listen, it doesn't matter why the pizza guy is there. He's just there and he's doing some fucking. So that, I mean, if they had slowed down just a little bit and hadn't done so much fucking, there would have been a complete story and it would have made sense. And you'd have been like, good for him. Yeah, good for Sho Kosugi. Good for him for teaching his son the way of the ninja, and good for him for avenging his family's death and all this stuff. As it stands as the movie right now, you're like, wow, there was a lot of fucking in that movie.
Yeah, and I think, I'll tell you what I think. I think that the movie is a little hindered by the fact that listen, again, I love Sho Kosugi, but no one else in the movie is anybody. There isn't even like a recognizable B-movie face in it. Everyone else is just generic human number 3. You know what I mean? And I think it lacks like a couple of cameos maybe, or even to have the main villain like the Braden guy, the generic white guy, who's played by Arthur Roberts, who's been in a bunch of kind of random films and a few soap operas, but is not by any means really known, particularly well, or certainly not by modern audiences with any kind of run back. If you had just a couple of other people that you could, with hindsight, like hang your hat on, like just a couple of B-movie guys who you kind of recognized, I think that would probably help a little bit.
I think if they had cast like the mafia boss guy, if they had cast even a relatively, C-list guy or whoever, and again, I don't know how much of this is from budgetary restrictions through Canon, and I don't know how much of that, Canon's input was on, here's who we want and here's who we can afford and here's what, here's the kind of movie that we're going to make as opposed to what you want to make. But I think they at the very least cast like a recognizable face for the mafia boss. It the Braden character, the white guy ninja, didn't necessarily have to be a name as long as he was menacing and convincing in his role. But if you like the mafia boss, he didn't fucking do anything other than yell at some people and then make a couple of phone calls. But if he was a name, you'd be like, all right, I like that guy. Right? Like he could be like the likable bad guy because he's going to get killed anyway.
But like, I don't know, if they'd had like a Christopher Connolly or a Wings Hauser or something, or even brought Franco Nero back to be like the bad guy, like anyone, just so that it wasn't all on Sho's shoulders, because while Sho is great at the action, the acting is not obviously his strong suit. And I think because they had generic, white guy renter dude Arthur Roberts playing the bad guy didn't get to, like, I don't know, wring his hands too much or speechify or anything like that. And if you'd got, I don't know, like if you'd got some dude who had been like big in the 60s and 70s, but by 83 was sort of just hanging around Hollywood, not doing anything, and kind of roped him in to do something, it would have just had that extra thing. As it is, it's a bit like watching an extended episode of the A-Team where Sho Kosugi is in it, but they forgot to write any funny bits for Murdoch. You know what I mean? Yeah,
no, I agree with that. And I don't know. Again, maybe these are Canon's decisions. Maybe they said, it's much easier just to cast this guy that's, done nothing but soap operas before. He'll work for scale, and it's a lot easier just to pay him, and he can do an okay job. On top of that, as you said, Sho Kosugi's acting was not the highlight of this movie. You cast someone that's a really good actor.
No, his eyeliner was. His eyeliner was in the last scene.
Yeah.
The fact that Sho Kosugi's like, I'm going to go kill some people, but I'm going to do it wearing, really fierce makeup.
Right. But if you cast a really good actor and put him alongside someone that clearly doesn't know how to act, that stands out 10 times more than it would if you just have, a guy that's an okay actor. Then it sort of blends in together. You're like, everybody in this movie is kind of shitty, But if you put Meryl Streep next to Sho Kosugi, you go, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting they put like Richard Burton or something, but I mean, they could have found. There was plenty of people knocking around in the 80s making B-level action films that were kind of watchable and entertaining. Christopher Connolly, William Smith, Wings Hauser, like someone who was knocking about doing stuff. Fuck, even someone like a Robert Forster or something, dig him up and put it in a movie. Like there were guys knocking about doing shit that would have just, then you could have written like a little evil speech for the bad guy, and there could have been a couple of scenes with him and the woman or something, like you say, just to kind of flesh it out a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, how much of that also did they have in mind when they were producing this movie and they were trying to cast this movie? You know what I mean? Maybe they put out offers to decent actors and they're like, fuck that, I'm not working for Canon.
No, potentially, you're right. And also, apparently it was like 2 hours long and Canon insisted it be whittled down to 90 minutes. So I've got a feeling that a lot of the scenes you're talking about were probably left on the cutting room floor and they just made it a series of action scenes.
Yeah. And again, we're talking about early American ninja movies, right? For an American audience.
Yes.
Again, this is the early days of that. I can only imagine that, even B-level actors were probably like, what? A ninja movie? No, thank you.
But what's funny is you watch this trilogy. You've got Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, and then Ninja 3. So Enter the Ninja is... it's not a boring film. There's some good stuff in it, but it definitely suffers from what I'm saying. Like, the action to plot ratio is all wrong. And especially considering the lead action guy is Franco Nero. Nothing against Franco Nero. I like Franco Nero, but he's not a ninja. You know what I mean? There's not... no one's doing anything particularly exciting in the martial arts stakes in that film. And then there's like a whole series of scenes that are kind of tedious and waffly. And then you have this one, which is sort of all action, and you have Sho Kosugi as the lead, and, it rips along at a pace. And yes, it's mad, and yes, there's the village people, and yes, there's Rent a Ninja Cop and various other stuff. But, like, at least it, like, bangs along, and there's actual action in it and actual ninjas in it and so on and so forth. Then you get Ninja 3, which is this weird hybrid of Breakin' 2 and The Exorcist and ninja films, which has fucking Lucinda Dickey in it. But that movie, Ninja 3, is worth watching on a whole other level. So that's another movie where the camp of it, the idea behind it, the audacity of it, the insanity of it, all actually kind of work. Like when you watch Ninja 3, it does sort of hold together. And it's a miracle that it does, but it sort of holds together, and it's a very entertaining film. So I would take either Revenge or Ninja 3 over Enter the Ninja, which is the one that is sort of considered slightly higher brow, slightly more classic, slightly more dialogue and whatever. I'd take the batshit weird ones over the top of that one. And then when you look at the other ones he made, I've not seen Pray for Death in ages, but 9 Deaths of a Ninja is basically a comedy film. It's basically a spoof film where Sho does a couple of action scenes, if that. Rage of Honor is his best one because it's like this in the sense that there are lots of action sequences, but there's a much bigger budget, so the action sequences like take place all over the world, and also there's more of a like single driving plot behind it. It's more of like a James Bond ninja movie, so it's sort of a single secret agent kind of, he's also a ninja thing. And that's a lot of fun. Pray for Death I haven't seen in ages, but we will be reviewing it this NINJAVEMBER next weekend with Doug Fry, so look forward to that. But in terms of Sho Kosugi driven ninja movies, this one is in my top 3.
So this is the only one of Sho Kosugi's ninja films I've seen, so I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 karate chops.
Okay. So you liked it. I mean, you enjoyed it, but just...
Yeah, no, I absolutely enjoyed it. Again, the downfalls of it for me were the plot and the dialogue, because they weren't that strong. Right. I liked it. I liked the martial arts scenes. I liked when they're karate fighting. I liked how ridiculous it was. I liked that they had to fist fight the village people at a playground for no reason, and that there were people literally standing 2 feet away and doing nothing about it. Like there's so many aspects of this movie that I did like, where I can't say, oh, this is a bad movie, don't watch it. I would absolutely recommend people watch it. Keep in mind, this is an early 80s ninja movie. It's not supposed to be, the Matrix of its time.
No.
It's a whole separate thing.
Also, what about Attempted Death by Jacuzzi? What did you feel about that? Was that a fun one for you?
Attempted Death by Jacuzzi, because there was a rope around the lady, and every once in a while the guy would pull the rope a little bit and she would somehow go under the water. I didn't get that part, but then also, hey, how does a loose 6-year-old beat up a guy that outweighs him by, I don't know, conservatively 275 pounds?
Yeah.
A 6-year-old kid was able to fight a man that weighs, again, 275 pounds more than him. And we have to also assume that this guy knows some martial arts as well. So yeah, there was a lot of aspects. I like the fact that the lady barely wore pants the whole movie. That was fun for me. Anytime you get those high-waisted underwear, I love it. The 80s high-waisted underwear, big fan. So yeah, there was lots of aspects of this movie that I did enjoy. And yeah, I like this movie.
Yeah, it's a good fun movie. I mean, it was, if I tell you it was made for 700,000 and it pulled in 13 million worldwide. So that's quite a return. You can see why they went ahead and made more.
Absolutely. Again, going back to the whole John Wick comparison, when they made John Wick, the intention was to make more. When they made this movie, they said, no one else is really doing this. Let's throw our hat in the ring. We've got this guy that clearly knows what he's doing, so let's make a ninja movie. And then they clearly realized, somebody likes this shit, so let's keep making these things.
Yeah. And I like that. I liked that mindset. I like the idea of, well, hell's bells, this is selling. Let's just keep coming up with more insanity. I liked that it was sort of, as much as obviously it's easy to sit here years later and kind of rip it a little bit because it is ridiculous. I like that there is well, of course he shows up to speak to an informant at a kid's play park only to be confronted by 5 mad people dressed in ridiculously over the top outfits, including a powder blue cowboy. Why not? Why?
But you know what? But at that time, that's who the bad guys were.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you go back and you watch any action movie, you watch any of those. Again, I think a really good comparative is the Death Wish movies, right? So you watch any of the Death Wish movies. That's what the bad guys were. It was never what we now perceive as a gang member or something.
Right.
The bad guy, quote unquote, bad guys in the late 70s all the way up until the 90s, they were weird people that didn't actually exist out in the world, right? They were like a weird group of people that shouldn't be together, that are dressed in clothes that no one actually wears, and their hair is weird, and a lot of times they had bizarre makeup on, and you're like, who the fuck wears that? No one does that. No one looks like this. No. But that's how you knew that they were the bad guy. And so yeah, when we watch these movies now in 2019, we say to ourselves, why would a fat Hispanic motorcycle guy hang out with the gayest cowboy you've ever seen at a children's park on the jungle gym, other than for sexual gratification? And how do they know martial arts? And why are they now fist fighting a cop?
Yeah, right.
It's because we need to know who the bad guy is, and we have to, in our mind, say, well, clearly that's the bad guy. I'm glad he's getting his ass kicked.
Not only that, but things even though all they did was come to ask a few questions, things escalate that the black guy fires a gun into a crowd.
Yeah. Well, again, he's the bad guy. That's what they do. Bad guys not only dress and act in a way that no other human being would in the history of human beings, but also they escalate things the moment, I'm talking the moment things aren't going their way.
Oh, shit, this guy's a ninja. I better fire a gun into a crowd.
Yep. Because in bad guy world, anything that isn't going their way, you got to shoot at it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Also, there's no repercussions here for killing people en masse.
No,
so it's
not
fine
at all.
in this world. But I'll tell you what,
than-
I will take the gang in this movie and the way they're dressed. You mentioned John Wick. I will take that over the Banana Republic hipster models that he fights in the mirrored room at the end of part 2, where they're all wearing like skinny pants and waistcoats, and they all have man buns and beards and stuff. That was ridiculous. They all dressed like a fucking Gap ad, like have your Gap wedding by wearing like.
Unfortunately, John, those people actually exist. So
but none of them know how to fight. They know how to pout and drink tiny coffees out of a thimble.
Yes, in real life, the people that look like that don't know how to use submachine guns. Correct. They don't know kung fu, and they don't know how to use actual guns. Those the man bun hipsters in real life don't actually know how to do the things that are in the movie. As to where these made up bad guys in these early 80s movies that look like a combination of like a punk and a homeless guy and a cowboy at the same time, but also like a weird transvestite. Those people you would expect to be scumbags and have a gun and pull it on anybody at any moment for any reason.
Also, when they showed up to that park, did you notice the guy in the background who was obviously a dude dressed up like a homeless person? Like it was obviously a guy with like a stuck-on beard and a thing. And they never close up filmed him. I thought he was going to be the informant. Like I thought it was going to turn out that he was going to be like a cop undercover wearing a ridiculous hobo costume. But no, he was just an extra who was a ridiculous hobo who was just in the background of the movie.
They should call this movie Revenge of the Ninja: Ridiculous Hobo.
Yeah. Well, and then the camera panned around to the powder blue cowboy, and I was like, geez, like what's going on here? The whole thing just kind of went insane. But I appreciate that. I will take playful insanity over nothing at all. I tell you that much.
Absolutely.
All right, Jay. Well, look, this has been a pleasure. We would recommend this to the tune of 10 karate chops.
Yeah, I give it 10 karate chops.
10 powder blue, flouncy cowboy hat wearing karate chops. It's, of the 3 ninja movies, it's probably the most action packed. And it's probably not the most fun, because Ninja 3 is probably the most fun, because like I say, it features a aerobics instructor possessed by the ghost of an evil ninja, which is my favorite sentence to say.
If you're going to watch, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but if you want to watch that movie, but done so much better, there's a great trauma movie called Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, which is the same exact plot, but I can only assume done so much better. And it's funny. So I would highly recommend that.
Better than Ninja 3?
Absolutely.
No, I've seen both. I'm a big Sergeant Kabuki Man fan, but Sergeant Kabuki Man is more like the parody of Ninja 3. Like, the interesting thing about Ninja 3 is played completely straight, whereas Sergeant Kabuki Man is played like Mel Brooks meets action films.
Right. Yeah, which is better. I think we can all agree.
Well, it does come down to personal taste, and I would strongly recommend you check out Ninja 3, if nothing else, for a sequence where in an attempt to seduce her man, Lucinda Dickey pours V8 vegetable juice all over her chest. Not champagne, not liquor, but V8 vegetable juice. To which he's like, come to Papa, and gets all excited about it. And when I flat out asked the director, Sam Furstenberg, about, okay then, whose idea was it, V8 juice? He said it was probably, we had tons of it at the craft service table.
That makes sense. For a movie that has a budget of, what was it?
$700,000.
$700,000. You have to, whatever you're going to be gifted, that's what you have to use. You know, if you have V8 sitting on the craft service table, and clearly no one's drinking V8 because it's fucking gross.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what you use.
But you pour it all over your breasts, and then there we go. It's it's dinner time, Fido. So yeah,
Waste,
it was.
Waste not, want not, my friend.
Yeah. So that's a scene you need to watch. I think you would get a big kick out of Ninja 3: The Domination if you like this one. I would strongly recommend it. But Jay Mayo,
I will watch it if they rename it Ninja Ninja Ninja.
What about The Three Ninjas? That was a film, right?
That was a film. I've seen that film. It's not as good as you would hope it would be.
No. And do you know the one I've never seen, which I kind of find is weird, is Beverly Hills Ninja, the Chris Farley movie.
I've also seen that. That's fairly terrible.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Jay Mayo, you have been, as always, an excellent guest here on the After Movie Diner. I hope you, as all of us are observing NINJAVEMBER in your own way, and celebrating by, I don't know, dressing up in pajamas, hiding in a closet, and when your daughter walks past, jumping out and screaming at her or something.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. I have been celebrating NINJAVEMBER wearing my summer karate pajamas, as mentioned earlier, and I've been in the basement karate chopping boards. I've been making everything I could possibly get my hands on. I've been attaching a chain to it and whipping it around my head. And also I've come up with some very creative masks.
Yeah, I feel like if any of my friends could be an American ninja, it would be you. I feel like you have the skill to whittle your own tools or weapons. I feel like you probably have the fighting ability, or certainly the urge to defend one's property. And I just feel like you would look good in pajamas. So I'm just saying in general, you're probably the one of my friends I could see actually being an American ninja.
I appreciate all of the kind words. And to anybody out there that wants to test my ninja skills, I would say we can fight during the daytime. Bring your powder blue cowboy hat, and watch out, because I probably have a full-size replica of myself on my person at all times.
At all times. What's funny is, Jay, is as much as I can, as you're the closest of any of my friends who would actually ever be an American ninja, that's true. The other thing, though, is you're probably the only one of my friends who would also not look out of place in that ragtag gang. You would probably, with your cut-off denim jacket and your knives, you would probably fit right in with the fat Hispanic biker and the powder blue cowboy guy.
I'd be the one wearing makeup for no reason.
Yeah, and carrying a large pink guitar while wearing a torn-off denim jacket and having knives. That would be your special skill, I think.
Yeah, I would take out a knife before anything even happened. Before anyone even spoke, I'd just take out a knife for no reason.
Just take out a knife. Look out, here's an Asian fella. We're in Salt Lake City. There's literally none of them. It must be problematic. I will just pull out a knife at this point.
What the fuck is going on? I better take out my knife.
I will start some shit. Why? I don't know. I'm just starting shit right away. I'm preemptively starting shit so no one else gets to start the shit. Like, I want to be the first one to start the shit.
They say a great offense is really a good defense, but I believe that a good defense is pulling out a knife for no reason.
For no reason. And so, Jay, what currently do you have to pimp, if anything at all?
Nothing right now. Go on Spotify or anywhere else that you can get music, and you can listen to Owen's new best friends. We have an album out called Dirty Magazines. You can get that came out this past year, and we've got some other stuff that we're currently working on right now, but that's certainly out there, so check that out on Spotify. Other than that, I'm on all the different social medias. I don't really post a whole lot, but you can find me there.
Excellent. Well, Jay, thanks ever so much. And I hope you are doing well, and we will speak again soon, sir.
Thank you for having me, John. It's been great.
All right, dude. All the best. Take care. Bye now. And here is a cut of Dirty Magazines by Owen's new best friends.
I know you're checking out my mallet from the way you lick your lips. I can pound my own drum beat my skins, ring my gong. But the groove is so much better when we're both thumping along. I'm gonna bang you, bang you, bang you. I'm gonna bang you like a cowbell. Set the tempo with my stick, pounding out the downbeat, coming loud and quick. You know that I can play, I'm rhythmically endowed. The rock is like thunder, you scream even more loud. There's a ringing in our ears, we both know what that's about. When the banging begins, you gotta let the metal out. I'm gonna bang you, bang you, bang you. I'm gonna bang you like a cowbell. Set the tempo with my stick, pounding out the downbeat, coming loud and quick. That's it, baby, you're banging just right. Let's do it, baby, we can bang all night. That's it, baby, you're banging just right. Let's do it, baby, we can bang all night. I'm gonna bang you like a cowbell. Set the tempo with my stick, pounding out the downbeat, coming loud and